Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by Nate Weitzer. He's on the East Coast, and we've got play props here on a Tuesday in the NBA for you guys. A lot of back-to-backs, a little bit of a slippery slate that we got to make sure that we're staying on top of these injury reports. But we do have 4 games and a bunch of player props in this episode for you. So make sure to subscribe to that page. Continue to follow along with us all season. Don't miss the Best Bets episode with some sides and totals looks for you guys that we have up alongside these player props each and every weekday as well. A little 3-1 there. Next time I don't take Zion Williamson on the points, let's just literally stop the show, add Zion points to the bet, and then we'll move on because that was my bad. Other than that blemish, 3-1 last night. So let's get into your first look here for Tuesday night, Nate.
Right. I mean, it would have been 2-2 if you didn't add the points for Zion because you did RA, but on air we talked about it, and I think I convinced you. Throw those in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm going to take Jalen Green, 22.5 points. There's a slight chance he doesn't go, although, I mean, his injury was in the first half last night, and then he started the second half, so I don't see why he would suddenly be a scratch. But if he's a go here, I think ladder it up to 25 plus, potentially. I mean, when it rains, it pours for this dude when he gets it going. And I think we're getting a nice buy low spot after he's gone under in 3 of his last 4. Against Cleveland, Boston, and Detroit. Just really good defenses. Now you get Atlanta, the worst spot-up defense in the league, allows the second most points to shooting guards. And Dyson Daniels has been a late scratch a couple times. So if he's not out there to hound him, then it's, it's wheels up for sure. And then you get Trae Young maybe playing through a hamstring issue. Just food right there. So previous 9 for Jalen in January before these unders, 30 points a game on 53-49 splits. Nice 29% usage. Like the initial thing would be like, let's fire Amen Thompson again. And I don't hate that 32.5 PRA, but I think it's sort of a sell high, buy low where you say like, look, it is a back-to-back here. Jalen was one of the guys who had a lower usage rate last night. Amen did everything, including the game winner. Like, let's try to lean on him a little bit more. Jalen did have 28 at Sacramento, the last back-to-back opportunity. He has been a much better road home splits guy with a 118 rating on the road this year and has averaged 26 and 5 career versus the Hawks, despite poor shooting from 3, 28%. But he's been hot lately, and this Hawks defense has not been hot, especially with the guys they might have out.
Yeah, for sure. That's a big part of this. Is just not trusting the Hawks defense at all. I mean, Amen's gotten high. I've been projecting him for about 32.5 PRA for basically since he's been at 36 plus minutes. So like, I think he's probably still pretty good in this matchup to go for that. And then, yeah, if Jalen's out there scoring, just whatever you want from a guy who can get to the rim in addition to shooting, that's the better look against the Hawks is the athletic cut to the bucket and also have to respect the jumper. Obviously, that's few and far between with that level of offensive ability in the NBA, but that would be Jalen Green's forte as an oversized guard. So let me go to an undersized guard and take Anthony Simons, not Dame Lillard, although probably a good bet to bet on Dame here. Let's just get away from the chalk a little bit and talk about the other side, which is Anthony Simons over 19.5 points. Not exactly not chalky, I suppose, but I do think Simons has been putting up some decent numbers as of late. And I do think we're going to get a little bit of him wanting to beat up his mentor, former point guard, right? Like senior leader of the team guy. Like there is something to that, like beating big bro, let's call it. He had 28 points earlier against them. He had 24 points in his matchup last year with them, taking an average at least 19 shots in those games. And so that kind of tells me something there, like he's going to want to be pulling like he does. We've got Shaedon Sharpe back on the bench. That has led to him being a little bit better over the course of the last roughly 6 games or so. For Anthony Simons, he has been opened up on offense a bit with Shaedon Sharpe not necessarily just out there chucking alongside him, them running a bit more offense with Denny Avdia playing point forward alongside Simons. That's led to a bit more catch and shoot for him over the last 7 games as he's had Denny out there for like 35 minutes a game or so, 34 minutes to be specific. And as a result, he's had a lot more catch and shoot, which has been a lot better for him this season than the pull-up. That's what I'm looking at as well. And against the Bucks, you can really get both, to be honest, but the catch and shoot has been there. I do like assists for a guy like Denny. I would consider the assist for Simons as well, because you can get dimes against this Bucks team, especially when you do get into the lane and now you're facing Brolo coming up to you. You've got Giannis nearby somewhere ready to block stuff. It's a lot better situation against the Bucks to be getting those kickouts rather than try to score next to the basket where they're a good defense. They're allowing the seventh most points per game to the pick and roll play are the Bucks, because they play that drop D, so you get those threes from the point guard. So the ball handler specifically is scoring a ton off of that play against Milwaukee, and they're giving up the 10th most points above the break. They allowed the 5th most threes overall and the 8th most threes made. And that's what you're going to see. Simons is taking 51% of his shots above the break. You're going to continue to see that. Like I said, a lot of Denny drive and kick to him. Some scoop minutes as well alongside Simons instead of alongside Shaedon Sharpe. Shaedon Sharpe is just going to do Shaedon Sharpe. So you don't really need a facilitator to set him up, to be honest. And that's a big reason why they've also been like, all right, let's get Scoot out here, put him in there. And Scoot starts in this game, which he might. The assists are a better play for him. And I do like the points for Simons.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with the Atlanta and Houston game here and take a Kongwu to get 10 boards as plus money, or the double-double plus 140. I think both are worth, kind of a half unit play here. Hoping for, more misses from Houston here on the back-to-back. They are only shooting 30% from three on back-to-backs, allowing nearly 44 rebounds versus 41 on the extra rest. They are top 5 limiting points to centers, but about league average on rebounds. And I mean, this is really a volume-based play. I mean, in minutes, he's out snapping, out minuting Capella 29-18 is a Kongwu, obviously in the starting lineup now, coming off a slow game against Minnesota, of course, right? I mean, 7-7, but previous 3 averaged 18 and 14. And that's without Jalen Johnson. Of course, the rebound chances are going to go up here. We're still talking 16 rebound chances in the last 3 and grabbing 9 actual boards. 5 of them have been contested boards, and that's what you need to do against Houston. They're the number 1 rebound rate team since they've had Amen Thompson in there. So you need to be able to grab these tough boards. And we saw Jalen Duren get 14 with 8 contested in that matchup, that lower scoring short rest spot for the Rockets. We saw Sabonis, of course, elite rebounder, grabbed 14. 6 of them were contested. So, I mean, more so like Okongwu has got to be out there defensively than Capella, because it's Şengün and we got no Jabari Smith. So, I mean, you're just looking at a more versatile Lord of the floor defender in Okongwu than Capella, who I think Şengün can probably handle pretty easily. And you saw in the last matchup off the bench, Okongwu 19 and 11 in 33 minutes. He was a plus 10. Capella was a minus 8. And Jabari Smith did go off. Then they had one more matchup since then. But yeah, he, again, not going to be in this game. Okongwu's going to be starting. So just, yeah, give me him here with Jalen Johnson out to soak up a little bit more of these rebounds.
And that's what I thought he was going to do yesterday. And he didn't, because a little bit of foul trouble. He got in his head. There was a technical little dust up with him and Rudy Gobert. It was such an unfortunate turn of events yesterday. And we should just be going right back to it, to be honest. There's really nothing to keep us from going back to it. It turned into the Clint Capella game yesterday. We already know Onyeka's in the starting lineup. We also know that historically for the last season and a half on the back-to-back, you're probably going to see a little bit more OO than you are CC out there for Atlanta at center. So this is already a good spot for him. And yeah, I'm going to have to grow some huevos and just bet it again, because it crushed me yesterday that he got close to the assists and the boards and didn't do either of them, getting a bit of a hook there. But this is a great matchup. So yeah, let's go back to it for Onyeka. Let me go to B Pods on Brandon Pajemski for my final bet here on the Dubs as they take on the Yaz. Over 11.5 points and assists combined for B Pod. Even money on BetMGM right now. Let's start with that. Dennis Schroeder is not a good fit for this team. I don't know if he'll become one, but he's not it. He's not even in the starting lineup. They've got Buddy Hield and Gary Payton going as starters, but Payton and Pajemski are basically going in offense, defense kind of subs. At this point, they're basically just playing off of each other separately. B-Pod's not great on defense, but certainly not like a liability by any means. Gary Payton's out there for his offense. B-Pods is out there to hit open threes and to be the second facilitator off of Steph that they thought they were getting with Schroeder, that they got Schroeder because B-Pods had a bad start to the season. And now he's come back from injury and looked a little bit better here. He's only played his last couple games since he's been back. But in those 2 games, looking at about 25 minutes per game in both of those. And when you put him at about 25 minutes, he should be good for about 15 and a half PA, according to how he's played on the season. But when he's playing without Draymond too, he is a little bit of the Draymond on offense in terms of the guy that keeps the ball moving and either finds other guys, but obviously has the ability to shoot way better than Dre as well. So when he's played on court with Steph and Wiggins this season with no Draymond or Kuminga, he's at 22 points and assists per 36 minutes. So like I said, those guys are taking a lot away from B-Pod, both Draymond and Kuminga, to be honest, because Kuminga starts his action from up top as well. He's not posting anybody up or starting near the baseline. He's getting ahead of steam and going downhill, and that does leave B-Pod a little bit less, I guess, less more exploitable basically at that point. So I think if you get him at 25 tonight, I've got him at 25 minutes here in this one. I think he could play more, and I've got him at about a 15.5 points and assists projection off of that. So I do think you're going to get a little bit of a bump too, playing Utah, regardless of who's out there. This is the team giving up the second most points per game to guards overall, the fifth most to point guards, the third most to shooting guards, and they're giving up the second most assists to guards overall, second most to point guards, and the seventh most to shooting guards. So guards can get what they need against this squad. I like B-Pod for 25 minutes, and it's about 16 PA in this one.
Yeah, I'm surprised this is pretty low in general, but yeah, you think about the schedule in context here. We talked about Golden State hosting OKC tomorrow. So like, how much is Steph going to play? Is Schroeder maybe going to be reserved for that matchup a little bit more? And then, kind of let B-Pods take the keys here, play 30 plus minutes on the front end of a back-to-back against what could be a G League squad for the Jazz. So yeah, like him. We also like Isaiah Collier. Once again, plugging that. We don't have the numbers until late, but this is a night to definitely look at the late live stream that Josh will be running here at 6 p.m. Eastern, right up to game time when we actually have an idea of who's playing with all these back-to-backs on the 4-game slate.
Yep. And today I will be adding the rebounds to Isaiah Collier, who I stuck with just the assists against the Bucks because I'm not really trying to get him to board over guys like Brolo and Giannis and Bobby Portis. So instead, we took him for just the dimes last night. Probably throw the rebounds back in there tonight against a very poor rebounding team for the Golden State Warriors. So that's all the time we have for you in Play of Props. Definitely continue to follow along. Subscribe to that page if you have not yet done so, and give that video a like if you're getting anything out of what we're bringing you this season. And until we see you tomorrow, happy betting.